Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for the last vlog of 2020. It's been a tumultuous year, let's call it that. But I thought I would try to squeeze in one last vlog for you, just to show off firstly what I've made in November and December, and just to, you know, talk about some of our highlights and things of 2020. I'll start by showing off what I'm wearing at the moment. So I'm going to start with the sweater that I'm wearing at the moment. So this is a sweater that I've knitted up recently. The pattern is called the Musani sweater from Goodnight Day, and that is a knitting pattern brand that really focuses on modern, minimalist, chunky knitwear. So literally all the designs are kind of like this, in that, you know, everything tends to be a bit short, a bit cropped, quite boxy in shape. Most of the patterns use like size 12 to 15 needles and all the chunky yarn you could ever want. So I decided to just start with a sweater pattern. This pattern itself is actually one that is meant to have a large polo neck, so a big roll neck that comes with it, which I decided not to do and just kept it as a short crew neck. But I chose this one instead of the other patterns, which are more similar to this in shape, I guess, because this naturally has a kind of bigger, looser fit than some of the other ones that she has designed. I got the ebook from Ravelry, I'll link to that below, which contains a whole bunch of her patterns in one go. I knew I really liked her style, so I thought I'd commit to just getting a whole bunch in one, as opposed to piecemeal and ending up probably buying all of them anyway. So the yarn that I use, the white, is a yarn from Stitch and Story, their chunky wool. The multicolored stuff in the middle is from We Are Knitters, it's their hand painted sprinkle yarn. The bright pink is from Wool and the Gang, I think it's called Hot Punk Pink. And the orange is, I can't remember the brand, I'll find it and link to it below, and that was from Love Crafts. Really, I just wanted to make a sweater that had these pops of colour. I could use up strands from, you know, these single balls of wool that I had left over and do this big colour blocking thing going on. I like the fact that they are kind of so short and kind of cropped in body and sleeve, because I find chunky yarn can sit really heavily on me, like it can look really heavy and bulky and can be really quite uncomfortable, but actually like this, I think it's really wearable. It's a really easy pattern, by the way. It's knitted top down, so you start with a neckband and then kind of increase out to the shoulders when you split the body, do the body and then do the sleeves. That might sound complicated to complete newbies, but for anyone with any kind of knitting experience, hopefully you'll kind of understand all of that. I think it knits up pretty true to size as well. Just as a side note, all the yarns I use always have all got recommendations for 12mm needles, and I use 15s and it worked out perfectly fine. I don't know if I just knit tighter than normal, who knows. I'll give you a twirl and you can see what it looks like all the way around. Anyway, it's a really fun sweater. The colours are like so me at the moment. It's just so fun, so vibrant. I think it's a real kind of pick-me-up sweater for kind of cold, wintry days when it's kind of dark and gloomy outside, and actually a sweater like this just makes you feel a bit more fun and happy. So this next make I'm going to show you is this jacket. It is one of my most favourite makes of 2020. I think it's also probably one of my most used as well, because I've worn it practically every day since I've made it. So this raincoat is made using the Jacques pattern from Iron Patterns. And it's made in this yellow shower-proof fabric that I picked up from Fabworks Mill when I visited their store in August. So that's up north, that's in Yorkshire somewhere. Don't ask me the specifics, my geography of the UK is alarmingly poor. I picked it up there because I was passing through, I was on holiday up there. They don't actually have this one online, I don't think they ever had it online, so I think I was really lucky to have gone in store and, you know, just to kind of come across it. I decided to use this pattern as opposed to all the other raincoat patterns that I already have. because I wanted to have that kind of classic boxy raincoat shape, and I knew that I already had, you know, the Tilling the Buttons Eden, I had the Closet Core Kelly Anorak, but none of those quite struck the note that I wanted to get from this. So the Jacques pattern actually hit pretty much everything that I wanted. It had that centered zip, the flap going over the top, you know, that really kind of boxy style, really unfussy. But I knew that it was something that would really work for what I had in mind. So the pattern itself, I kept pretty simple. I did shorten it slightly from the original just because I know that the IM patterns are drafted for much taller people than me. So I took off, I think, 5 centimeters, and I also did a big bicep adjustment on the sleeve. This was not because I thought my arms couldn't fit into the pattern as it was. There's always plenty of ease in coat patterns. However, I knew that my kind of upper arms are bigger than average, and I really wanted to be able to wear thick sweaters like this underneath it. So I knew that I needed to give myself a little bit of extra breathing space in there, so I did an inch big bicep adjustment there too. On the insides, I did line it. It is a lined pattern. For my lining, I tried to make it extra cozy, and I used a Ponte knit that I had lying around, this kind of spotty stuff here, which I layered up with some quilting wadding, and I just quilted straight lines across it, and I used that as the lining for the body. For the sleeves, I used a different quilted lining. So with sleeves, they need to be slippy, ideally, in order for you to get your arms in easily. And I had a bit of leftover quilted lining material that I got from Stuff and Steel a while ago. So this is stuff where the upper layer is just like standard lining material, that kind of polyacetate feel to it, so it's super slippy, but it still gave that warmth. I did the body like this with the knit fabric just so it's a little bit warmer than that even is. I've also added an internal pocket, as you can see here, just because I like to have pockets on the inside. You never know when you need to keep your phone or wallet or something a little bit safer, and that's always a good idea. It gave me a good opportunity to use some labels as well. All the hardware, so the press studs, the zipper, the hood tie, the rivets, the eyelets, I got all off eBay. I chose to go with a gun missile finish for all of it, so it's got this kind of like blackened look. So you can see how heavily used it is. It's still got all my stuff in all the pockets, because I literally just use it every single day, and it is just perfect, and it's pretty showerproof. I've worn it out in the rain and it's pretty efficient. It works well. I mean, I think it's not gonna last under any crazy heavy torrential rain downpours, but I think overall it does what it needs to. I mean, it's not the thickness of, you know, a heavy winter coat, but layered up like this has been perfectly fine for this relatively mild winter that we've been having. If it hits 0 and below, I'll probably switch to a thicker coat, but for now this is perfect. Oh, I've not shown you all the way. I'll put the whole twirl for you. So the next thing I'm showing you is this dress. This is the Bakerloo dress from Lena Lee Patterns. It's a pattern that I tested back in November, and it just, you know, it's a very, very trendy pattern. It's got that big collar with the frill around the edges, the frill on the sleeve. It's a throw-on dress, so it's got no closures to it, bar a small keyhole loop in the button closure in the back neck, and it's got that gathered skirt as well, and pockets too. You can see if I find them. There you go. So I made this in what was sold to me as a spun viscose. Really, I think it might be a polyester. I bought it from the Textile Centre, and I do find that their descriptions can be a bit hit and miss, and it's basically just a lot heavier than I thought it would be. That being said, I like the colour, quite like the print, so I thought I would give it a whirl on a dress that, you know, could have ended up just being a toile, essentially. I quite like it though, like this. It's quite a fun dress. I thought it was a bit much for the whole collar thing, so I did opt to do a contrast frill on the collar, and I used a little bit of white viscose challis that I had lying around for the edge of that collar. It is a bit of an odd fabric for this dress, just because the weight of it and this kind of sleeve, personally I don't think it really works for it. So the sleeve hem is finished with a facing through which there's an elastic channel which kind of creates that frill for you. I like it in theory, I don't like it with this fabric. I think in a much lighter fabric, a lighter viscose, cotton lawn, something like that, it would work a lot better. But like this, I just feel like it feels clunky. I don't know if this is just a personal preference. I've noticed that a lot of other people have made this in a variety of other fabrics. I mean, one of the Nina's samples was in a needle cord, and you know, no one else has the kind of same complaint that I do, so it might just be me being really fussy about how I like things to feel on me. Anyway, and that is probably just a personal preference, so try it out, see what you like. I think if I made it again, what I would probably do is gather the hem and just put a cuff on the end, because I think that would work better for me. I'll give you a twirl, you can see what it looks like all the way around me. Get my hair out of the way for you. So it is a really cute dress, and it is crazy on trend at the moment. You'll see these kind of collars everywhere on the high street at the moment. So I think that Nina feels really quick at, you know, stepping on that trend and getting this pattern out there quickly, because I think it has done remarkably well. I've seen so many cute versions of this all over social media, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of those in 2021. So this last garment make that I'm going to share with you is my most recent dress. So this is the one I made for Christmas, back when we had planned like a big family Christmas, which obviously didn't happen because of the London lockdown. That being said, I still wore it for Christmas, although I felt a lot less festive than I would have done otherwise. Anyway, so I made this with out of a mash of two patterns. The top half is essentially the by hand London Hannah dress. I've taken the wrap bodice and the sleeve, the bishop sleeve, as you can see, and the Myosotis dress, the deer and doe pattern. From there I've taken the skirt, and again, a bit of the bodice. Basically, I wanted to make a faux wrap dress I could just, you know, throw on over the head, have it super comfortable and loose, but still kind of look a bit glamorous as well. And I think that's what I achieved. This does look like how it looked like in my head, to be fair. And so the way I did that was to mulch together the bodices of the two patterns. I basically wanted to keep the neckline, the overlap of the Hannah dress, but keep the width of and the ease of the Myosotis bodice. And that's because the Hannah isn't designed to have the ease to throw over your head, what the Myosotis does. So I needed to kind of keep that together. So I've basically kept the neckline from the Hannah and the arm side from the Hannah, so that I can get the sleeve in easily, and then mulch that together with the Myosotis bodice. And ta-da, this is what it looked like. The skirt, I just used the upper tier of the Myosotis and made it the length that I wanted it to. I basically made it as long as I could with the fabric that I had. I'd kind of forgotten quite how much fabric this dress takes up, the Hannah dress, with the bishop sleeve as it is, because I only managed to get it down to a mid-calf, and I had originally hoped to make it tiered as well, which obviously didn't happen. I also added in some waist ties here, which I have not used at the moment, although I will show you what that looks like tied. So I put them into the side seams of the bodice. I've been hiding them away in my pockets when I don't want it tied in, but I wanted to give myself the option of cinching in the waist, like so, just because it is a lot of dress, and my concern was that I would feel like I'm swamped in it, it's not giving me any definition, all of that. And I thought if I had the waist ties there, at least I can bring it in when I wanted to, and then discreetly untie it when I've eaten too much at Christmas dinner. It kind of worked. I'll be honest, I probably wear it loose most of the time, but it's nice to know the options there. In terms of the rest of the construction, I pretty much used like the Hannah method for most of the bodice. Overlapped the bodice at the centre front in the middle, and then just added on that tiered skirt. So this is all finished with a bias binding around the neckline. I was concerned about if this would gape or not. at the front. It's quite low, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it still gives me enough coverage to be comfortable. It's not too bad, right? The fabric is one that I was given by Atelier Jupe. They asked if I would be interested in trying out something from their winter range, and since I'd already been looking at it to maybe purchase them, I said yes. And so I chose their black viscose with the floral pattern, and it's got this gold lurex kind of drop design all over it like so. I thought the gold kept it a bit festive without it being really in your face. So I hope that I get to wear this dress again over the next kind of few months or so. I feel like it's quite a bit of a party dress. I don't know if that gold bit is going to stop me from wearing it just like, you know, out to the shops or something. Who knows, we'll see. But it is, you know, it's super light, it's super comfy. I hope that, you know, I'm going to have much more opportunity to wear it in future. So I'm going to show you the last few bits that I've got to share with you today. The first being this backpack which I made. So I made this using the leftover fabric from my Jacques raincoats. I thought that the yellow showerproof fabric would be a really good base to use for a backpack. You know, it means that I'll be kind of showerproof when I'm out. It's quite a sturdy fabric as well, which I thought would be good for a backpack as well. I opted to go for the Kirsten raspberry rucksack, and yes, it is because it looks just like the Kunken backpacks, that Swedish brand which everybody seemed to have at one point, and I thought that, you know, it would make quite a nice addition to my wardrobe. A backpack really is always useful. So as much as I love the finished outcome of this bag, and I've used it plenty, and you know, it is functional, it works for me. It was an absolute nightmare to make. I hated the pattern, I hated sewing it. I thought I was going to cry and give up so many times. I have a few bones to pick with the pattern, and a lot of it's, you know, personal preference. Firstly, the fact that, you know, there's no printable pattern that comes with it. It's just instructions to draw out your pattern essentially. I find that very difficult, in that I think it's very difficult actually to draw out perfect rectangles, and you know, it makes it much harder to get accurate markings on those things because you don't have the guides for them. And just all in all, I thought it was quite tricky. I don't think the instructions were that amazing to warrant excluding a pattern from the especially for what you're paying as well, with all of that. I do get that on a sustainability front, that, you know, just drawing it out might be better in that case, in that scenario, but to be honest, it would be so few pieces for a bag of this size that anyway, I'll stop complaining about it. I feel like that's all I've done about this bag. The actual bag itself is fine. It is a fully lined bag, as you can see. You can probably also see my Blood, Sweat and Tears label that I put inside there. The first time I've had to use one. It's got this, what they call a pop-up pocket on the front. So this is like another little boxy thing that's top stitched onto the front. I added my own patch on the front here, and I, just keeping with the patch, used an orange tape for the handles and for the back straps as well. So the good points about this pattern: it does look exactly like those Kunken backpacks. So if that's what you want to make, this is the one that you should use. I like that it has that full flap opening on the front. I like the pop-up pocket on the front, and the general shape of it and size works really well. Just for reference, I made the large size. It also comes in a small as well. The downside, the lack of actual paper pattern or printable paper pattern. I don't think it would have been that hard to have also included that with the pattern itself. As someone who had initially planned to make, you know, more than one, I think it would have been very good use of time and energy to have just, you know, printed one out and stuck that together, as opposed to having to go through the rigmarole of redrawing all those shapes again. Anyway, I'm gonna move on from this one. I don't think I'm ever gonna have anything really good to say about it for a little while. The other things that I've been making recently have been some Christmas decorations. Now, Christmas has kind of come and gone, although we've still got some more Christmas decorations up. Still, I wonder when people normally take those down. But I thought I'll show you what I made. Some last minute crafting. Made us some stockings, literally drew out a boot shape and cut out a few of those, sewed them together, sewed on a cuff and a tabby bit with some red cord that I had. Really easy make if you need some, need to do some last minute decorating, last minute additions. Not so last minute were these tiny jumpers I made as Christmas tree ornaments. So these are knitted exactly like you would do a normal sweater, and they're knitted top down in the round and literally just has, like, you know, the same ribbing on the hem and the cuffs and the neckline and the same kind of raglan style that I've been making recently. I made 3 for myself, but I did make a few for others as gifts, and I've just embroidered some with some initials, and I've got a snowflake on this one as well. And with some jewellery wire I had lying around, I made little hangers to put them on, and that then just goes straight on the tree. Literally the cutest thing I think I've ever made in my life. So that's it. That's the last vlog of the year. It seems crazy to think that 2020 has gone by so fast. I feel like this is a year where absolutely everything has happened and nothing at the same time. I think this is the most time I've ever spent at home, indoors, and I'm sure that's the case for many of you as well. So I thought I'd talk about some of the highlights of 2020. So firstly, I managed to be off work for about 4 months. I know for many of you that would probably be a low light, not a highlight, but for someone who's not a huge fan of their job, it felt like a blessing in disguise in a way. I had loads of time to spend crafting and sewing and making things. I got to try a whole bunch of new crafts. I tried candle making. I did some wax ring carving. I've really got into my knitting and managed to knit so many things. I tried terrazzo casting with Jesmonite, which I've gotten a lot better at recently. Hopefully I'll be able to show you some of those results soon too. And I just feel like I've managed to really kind of invest a lot of time in myself and, you know, making all these things, which making stuff was always something that makes me happy. So that's something little to take away from this year at least. So thanks again for joining me for this vlog and through this year if you've been following me this whole time. Hopefully 2021 will be a little bit better, a little bit brighter for all of us. So I'm wishing all of you guys a very happy new year, and I will see you in 2021. Bye guys.